everyone, and thank you for watching VATV. My name is Kate Nguyen, and hosting with me today is Nghĩa Trương. VATV is the voice of Vietnamese Americans in the greater Boston area. It is sponsored by VATV, Vietnamese American Initiative for Development. The first half of our 1-hour weekly program is in Vietnamese, and the second half is in English. You can watch us live every Wednesday evening from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Channel 9 if you have Comcast, and Channel 15 if you have RCN. You can also go on bnntv.org to watch us live. And if you happen to miss our live television program, it will rebroadcast on Sunday at 5 p.m., Monday at 1 p.m., and Tuesday at 11 a.m. To watch any of our TV shows, please go on to our home website at vatv.org. And for today's program, we have a very special guest with us. That's one of the candidates for Boston City Council at large, who recently won the preliminary election on September 24th. Hi, hello, Jack. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Nice to see you again. And thank you for having me.
Yes. So you have won the preliminary election.
Yeah.
So how do you feel?
I feel good. You know, from a personal standpoint, I'm obviously very excited, and my team, all the people that supported me, I'm in some ways more excited for them and people who really came together. No campaign, no business or organization is one person or one entity, and I'm just a sort of a percentage of that. And so my team was very excited, my family was very excited, my friends were very excited. Just an awesome opportunity. It was really, you know, good to sort of celebrate our hard work and to, you know, share the vision that we have for Boston, and in some ways was validated by the voters.
Yeah. So the final election is coming up on November 5th.
Correct.
So how are you gonna get ready for that?
So, you know, we have to just keep doing what we did. I mean, you know, I'm a first-time candidate, so it's slightly a little different. You know, there's people who've ran before and have higher name recognition, and, you know, I'm growing. And so I need to continue to work hard, continue to knock on doors, need to get my message out there to a more broader audience so that I can double what we did in the primary and then make it to the top 4 and win and become a Boston City Councilor.
May I back up a little bit? Just
Of course.
From the
It's your TV show.
Yeah. Maybe people see you. You say that you are the first time run for the office.
Correct.
Okay. Who are you? Yeah.
Excellent question. Who am I?
Yeah.
So I grew up in the Charlestown, which is a neighborhood of Boston for those that don't know, and middle-class family, middle-class, you know, kid that was brought up by 2 really good parents who worked hard and did everything they could to send me to school and provide for me, and you know, and I had a very stable upbringing in some sense, but also seeing within my community some of the social, you know, ills that, you know, pertain to society throughout Boston as I was growing up. But I was somewhat insulated from it to a degree, and then I've put this out in my campaign that I personally went through my own substance abuse history, and as a result of that, went from somebody who was sort of this middle to upper middle class individual who is now spiraling out of control, like thousands and thousands of families throughout Boston. And in my particular case, it got so bad that at one point I was living in a homeless shelter, and one in Boston actually. And so, you know, through hard work and through, you know, determination in my community and the government, and through economic opportunities that I was able to get through some organized labors, you know, considering with the ironworkers, which is what happened with me, which is Local 7, I was able to turn my life around. And, you know, I think that when I run, my sort of moral compass of why I'm running is because of who I am and what I've been through, because I know that it reflects a broader segment of society in Boston.
You grew up in Charlestown.
I did.
And I believe Charlestown several decades ago, that is not like Chinatown right now, and you once the neighborhood coordinator for Chinatown.
I was.
Yeah. What did you do on that time?
Well, when, to sort of answer back up to your,
Yeah. Okay.
your
Yeah.
excuse me, your perception of Charlestown. Yeah, Charlestown is very diverse and gentrified, like all of Boston. In the Bunker Hill housing development and also in the Newtown housing development and Mishawam housing development, there is a very diverse, culturally diverse and economically diverse group of people that live there. You have people who've generationally been there for a while, and you also have a very big Asian population that is in the Charlestown Newtown development, which is really, really good. And we have a lot of Latinos, and we also have some people who've been moved in over a 25-year period, you could say, that some would say are newer groups of people, or maybe people who haven't been generational in Boston. So it's a very good mix of people. And when I was a neighborhood coordinator, it was my job to essentially have all different groups of people working in unison to sort of a common goal, which was to make Charlestown overall a better place. And I was to take the issues that I heard on the street, whether it was business development, whether it was simple issues of fixing potholes, whether it was issues of crime, no matter who it was, bring it back to City Hall and make sure that those issues were resolved.
I think, I don't know, the maybe the Globe or the newspaper mentioned that you you are the man, you connect the old Chinatown with the new Chinatown. Is that right?
Yeah, the Globe did say that.
Okay.
And it's always interesting when a reporter or a newspaper actually says something that you proclaim yourself to be as opposed to what they want you to be. So I was very excited about that description because I consider my candidacy to be, if you would like, a bridge. I consider myself to not be afraid of where I come from and my heritage and all that stuff, but to, more importantly, to show that we are much more similar. It doesn't matter what culture we are, that we're all similar in our issues that pertain to the Vietnamese community, that pertain to Chinatown, that pertain to West Roxbury, are also similar to Boston and South Boston and parts of Dorchester and Roxbury, and we're very similar. And even though we are a neighborhood that is, a city that is sort of made up of neighborhoods, we have issues that, whether good, bad, or indifferent, are very similar if one would look past the things that sort of keep us apart.
Somebody call in and you accept the call and maybe they want to ask you something?
Absolutely,
yes.
sure.
Okay. Yeah, we here.
Good evening.
Hello.
Yes, my question is for the candidate at large.
Yeah.
What are you going to do to fix the Boston public school system?
Really good question. And as many people and many voters have talked about, there was a... Whoa.
No.
Okay.
You continue.
Okay.
Yeah.
As many people throughout Boston and many surveys have done, the Boston public school system is a huge issue for voters and people not only running in my race, but also in the race for mayor. And in my opinion, I think the two things that people talked about were public schools and public safety. And I think that they're one issue that is in my opinion, because to fix public schools, I think we really need to fix neighborhoods, and we need to go into neighborhoods that we see economically depressed areas and the social ills that are affecting those neighborhoods, and we need to make sure that if we're going to fix the school system, that we are focusing on some of the causes, the social causes of why we have issues with our school system. It's not simply just a policy. We could sit here and talk about putting advanced placement in each school, or am I for charter, or non-charter, or in-district charter. All of that stuff is solutions, but one of the things that I really want to bring to this discussion and bring to the city council is that when I get on there, I want to make sure that in specific areas where we have shootings, mental health, huge rates of substance abuse, that we're focusing on those issues. And in my opinion, if we focus on those issues, the school system will then get better. I always make the line now to some of my staff, Wellesley High, before MCAS, after MCAS, still had people that went to Harvard. And what does that say? It's about the neighborhoods.
Yeah. Okay. Hello, the audience out there. You want to ask more questions with the candidate? No? Okay.
That was a good question, though.
Yeah,
Thank you
that's
for
a
the
good question, and I think you make a good answer to the our audience.
Let's hope the voters think so.
Okay, now.
And there's an issue that I think it's like the number one issue that you hear almost everywhere you go. It's like people are concerned about public safety. So if you become Boston City Council at large, how do you address that issue?
Great question. Public safety, if you historically look in any society, in any city, is completely not in conflict, in conjunction, in my opinion, with poverty. And when you have abject poverty, you have a history of it. It's a cycle. You know, people that are in poverty at times sort of generationally been there for a variety of different reasons. My opinion, substance abuse, mental health, which then go into things like violence and go into less economic opportunities, and it almost spreads like a disease. You could make the case that poverty is a disease. And where you look at neighborhoods, not just in Boston, but throughout the world and throughout the city, throughout the country, where you have issues of public safety, you always have issues of less economic opportunity for less fortunate and people who aren't as plugged in, so to speak. And I think that they're completely related. We need to make sure that we're providing opportunities in our neighborhoods that need them. You know, Boston's a great city, but we have, in my opinion, at times two different cities. We have the downtown Boston, which is flourishing and one of the greatest cities in planet Earth. But we also have a lot of areas in Boston, and I've seen it throughout the campaign, that need help, that need serious attention on public safety issues. Public safeties affect everything from car insurance going up, from health insurance going up, because that's always a reflection of drugs, which then, you know, there's infectious disease rates that go up. It's a public health concern. So there is a lot of things that public safety migrate into, and as I just mentioned before, go right back into the school issue. So public safety is one of the main reasons that I'm running for political office for Boston City Council, and I will continue to focus on it if elected, and I want to make sure that people feel safe walking down the street, and I want to make sure that people feel that their kids, when they go outside, will not get shot, will not join a gang, and will not be susceptible to having a very serious drug addiction like my generation was.
Yeah, that's great. I hope a lot of people will support you for the city council at large.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
You mentioned, you answered the question about the public school, bottom public school and the safety, and now, how about the business development?
Great question. I want to pertain that to the Vietnamese community. When I was out, lucky enough, campaigning, one of the joys that I had campaigning was seeing the different cultures and seeing the different segments of Boston and to see what was important to different communities. And one of the interesting aspects that I was talking to when we had our little, lunch that day was talking to the business community and some of the concerns that they had in the Vietnamese community. And it was awesome to hear that there was this interest in bringing, people into the Vietnamese community and promoting Little Saigon and trying to find ways to make that happen. Again, we go back to public safety. People need to feel safe that they can go down there, and it needs to be clean. So that means we need to make sure that Public Works is efficient in cleaning it up and making sure that things are sort of in unison and it looks pretty and it's beautiful. However, there's things that we need to do with parking, or transportation. Huge issue. We need to make sure that the transportation, there is transportation down there, but it has to be effective where people feel that they can come in. So if we're promoting Little Saigon and we put some money into Little Saigon, that people feel not only safe going there, but they have an efficient way to get there. If people can't access which in that part is in the heart of the city, no one's going to go there, and we can't bring the money in that we need, which is going to spur economic development. So we have to focus on transportation. Huge issue. So some of it's parking. I'm not someone who wants to get rid of the car completely, and I know there's some interest with staggering parking, and I am generally in support of that. I have to see some of the specific details. But if it's something that the business community I'm being told from your community telling me this is what they want and they think that's a solution, I think that's something that I need to take to the BRA or neighborhood development and push for it and put some money to actually do it. But I also think the public transportation component, and that's a state issue, but something that I will use my bully pulpit is to push for more efficient public transportation. We need to put more money into it because it's an issue that is outside of just business economic development for Little Saigon, if we want to do that, but also just in a broader sense. There's congestion everywhere. There's congestion on the T, there's congestion on the highway. We need to figure out a way to efficiently get more people going across the city of Boston. If we don't, business is going to be hard.
That's right.
Okay, that's okay. In general, what is your opinion about the diversity in Boston?
Oh, it's great. Boston is a majority city. We have vast different cultures, and it is awesome. I love the differences of opinion. I love in just different cultures. when I've been able to travel and I've gone to different parts of the world, and I always like getting out of the hotel zone because I like to see where I am, and I like to embrace the different parts of what makes us so unique and what makes us in some ways beautiful. And I'm not trying to be, sort of high-minded, but it's the truth. And I think that Boston brings that. We still are the hub. We still are the hub of the universe. We have so many different sections, and we should be highlighting that. We shouldn't be, as I said at the time when we having the lunch, we shouldn't just have a St. Patrick's Day or a Bunker Hill Day, or we should celebrate every single culture, and we should put money to it. We should promote it. We should get people to come in and celebrate any culture that is defined by something that is, within that structure that anyone feels it. And I think that Boston is amazing. We have a very vast Latino population that is diverse within its own self, and I think that sometimes people don't look at it like that, but it is. And just by talking to recent immigrants, I'm able to learn about the country that they came from, and I'm able to sort of reflect in sort of where I came from, 3 generations ago of coming from Ireland. And I think it's just an amazing thing, and I think it's what makes Boston so great. And I think coming together, one of the things that excites me about running for Boston City Council is to have a group of people on the council that is diverse, but also seeing different leaders from different sections of the city really working in conjunction with each other to help each other out. Because as I stated, no matter how different we actually are very similar. So we can celebrate our difference and sort of embrace what we are different and learn about our different cultures, but at the same time, come together for one common purpose. And as I just told you, public safety is just as important as it is for the Vietnamese community, as it is for the, people in Charlestown, as it is in West Roxbury, as it is in Roxbury, as it is in Chinatown, as it is in South Boston. And so a universal approach. We all want better schools, we want public safety, and we want a good, thriving economic development plan. And the only way we do that is if we're coming together.
Yeah. You ever in the parade of the celebrate something with the minority group?
Have I ever?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, just in my own
They
personal...
have a lot of parade every year, and the Haitian, the Cape Verdean, the South Boston, or the...
Yeah, he was in the Caribbean.
Yes,
You were in the
yes.
Caribbean parade.
I was
yeah.
at, I believe, every parade, and I apologize if I wasn't, so I don't want to be quoted on that, but we were in, every parade that I think we could be, but I've been to every festival that I can go to celebrate the different diversity of cultures and, the celebrations that have happened. So yeah, I've been everywhere that I can be. So yes, and I want to go to more, and I hope as a Boston City Councilor I will continue to have that opportunity to go to more.
Yeah. You have been very open about your experience with substance abuse, and I really respect you for doing that.
Thank you.
How do you manage to be so open about your experience?
Well, I made the decision to be open about it. I mean, on some level, if I wanted to run for political office and be a public figure, I had to be somewhat open about it because it's not that difficult to find out. But I think that the nature of violence and the nature of poverty and the nature of substance abuse and the nature of mental health is, in my opinion, a stigma that needs to change. And the only way to change it is to embrace it. There are a lot of people who suffer, very, very badly suffer community-wide, and it spreads like a cancer, and it spreads like a disease in some ways. And the only way to break that is to start talking about it. Mental health issues and substance abuse issues and violence issues are things that cost society so much in money and emotional instability and sort of a decay of communities that the cost is not only monetarily very high, it's also emotionally very high, and it's generationally sort of transient where it keeps going. Children are affected by it 50 years after it happens. And so if anything comes from my campaign and anything comes from my candidacy, is that no longer will substance abuse or mental health or violence be something that we're uncomfortable to talk about, because I'm putting it out there for everybody to talk about. And if that is something that I have to suffer consequences for, that's fine. But somebody has to talk about issues that are affecting thousands of people and thousands of families throughout Boston, and I'm going to do it. And I don't really care what personally happens to me, because it needs to happen. We can no longer have an epidemic that is in silence. It needs to be brought to light. Right. So I'm going to do it.
It's great how you can use your experience to help other people, help influence other people, who go through the same thing that you went through. Yeah. So it's great.
I would agree.
Yeah. So recently, the preliminary election, you have placed 8th.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you have to mention that?
Sorry.
It's okay.
that leads me into another question. So the 8 candidates that won the preliminary election will go into the final round, right? And 4 will
4 will win. 4 will be seated.
Win. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about that? Being 8th. Sorry.
Twice.
How are you gonna,
Yeah. How can I win? How do I feel? What's my path to victory?
Yeah.
Well, I think if you look at the numbers, and this is a much more broader discussion and something that maybe the viewers will probably just be lost because it's a very sort of direct political discussion, but I have a lot of room to improve. There were 12 mayoral candidates, there were 19 city council candidates, there were also a vast number of district council candidates that were appearing on the ballot given whatever neighborhood you were in. So I think that people went into the ballot and they've seen a lot of names, and I think it was a name recognition thing to a certain extent. This is my first time running. I'm very happy to have made it into the finals as a first-time candidate. We had a couple months to put this candidacy together. Boston is a very big city, and the fact that I was able to get in there, in fact, shows the strength of my message and the strength of not only my message, but I met a lot of people. I've worked very hard. I'm going to continue to work hard. My candidacy is growing. There isn't a place that I go that most people, if they've heard of what we're trying to do and the message that we're trying to create, are sort of like, I like this. I want you to have a future. This is something that we need on the Boston City Council. So for the next 5 or 6 weeks or so, I need to continue to do what I've been doing. I need to go to West Roxbury, Hyde Park, East Boston, and there's a lot of places I can improve. I can improve in almost every single neighborhood. And with the help of people who continue to support our candidacy, we're going to improve. Since placing 8th, as you have said, and beautifully said, I would say, I have received support all over the city of people who want to help me improve. So
Yes.
we're very confident.
Yeah, just want to let you know that you have the support of the Vietnamese community.
Oh, thank you very much.
Because I'm part of VPAC.
Yes.
And you are one of the 4 candidates that we endorse.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Okay,
And
now,
I'm sure a lot of the Vietnamese people.
now the last word, you asked for the vote from our audience, from our VATV audience.
Yes.
What is why should people vote for you?
You should vote for me because I'm someone who wants to work with your community, and I have the compassion and understanding to care about the issues that uniquely reflect you, but also have the experience to bring that unique perspective on an individual level to the Boston City Council and work with whoever the new mayor is to make sure that your issues are uniquely addressed, but on a collective level that affects every resident of Boston. I want to make sure that everybody in Boston is uniquely tied together, and this is a collective effort, and I have the compassion to do that. I want to be a Boston City Councilor. I will come into every single community. I will be there for you, specifically the Vietnamese community. I want to get to know you more. You haven't been able to see me as much, but you will see me a lot more. And if elected, I will not stop working to make your community better.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jack, for being on our show.
Thank you very much.
And we hope you will support Jack Kelly for Boston City Council at Large on November 5th coming up. Please come out and vote. He is the one that has spent time to find out about our community. We hope that you will support him for that position. And once again, thank you for watching VATV. Any questions, comments, or contributions, please call us at 617-822-3717 or email us at vatv@vidate.org. We hope you have a wonderful week, and goodbye.